Okay, it's 10 o'clock, so we shall begin. We're going to learn we're going to start a new mimer today. Camera's rolling. A mimer of the previous Rebbe called Basi Legani. This was the last mimer that the previous Rebbe said over before he was Nistan. I think we gave it over to the Hasidim a few days before he was Nistan. Every year, there are 20 chapters to this mimer. Every year the Rebbe wrote a illuminating pirush on one of the chapters. So there were two 20-year cycles. There were 40 maimarim of the Rebbe on this mimer that we're learning today. But this is basically the basis. This is the mimer. The Frierdiker Rebbe, we were talking right before the shir began about the importance of being on time. The Frierdiker Rebbe would go into the room of a yeshiva bacher, and if he would see that his clothes were organized neatly, he would know the bacher was doing well. Organization goes together with being on time, dependability, very important qualities. Okay, so the rabbi was supposed to bring the Maamarim for everyone to have, but he didn't yet. Maybe he'll come soon. But we'll begin. I'll read it in Hebrew and translate it immediately into English. This mimer was said in the Parshas Ba Yud Shvat for the yortzeit of the previous Rebbe's mother. He said this mimer for her yortzeit, Elias Nishmatza. And I'd also like to dedicate this learning to the Elias Neshama of my mother, who passed away about half a year ago. Esther Michla Bas Chaim Mordechai Shele Elias Neshama. Yeah. Basi Legani Achoisi Kal. So that's a pasuk which says, "I have come to my garden, my sister, my bride." It's a pasuk from Shir HaShirim, from the Song of Songs, which Shlomo HaMelech wrote, where Shlomo HaMelech uses the metaphor of man and wife to describe the relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Bnei Yisrael. We are HaKadosh Baruch Hu's wife. There's the metaphor, there's the mashal, and then there's the nimshal. Right? There's the metaphor, and then there's the thing the metaphor is coming to illuminate. The thing that Shlomo Melech is coming to illuminate, that we are considered like Hashem's bride, just like a groom loves the bride. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves Bnei Yisrael. He wants a connection with Bnei Yisrael. He created the worlds for Torah and Bnei Yisrael, like it says in the beginning of the Torah, Breishis bar Elokim Esav Shamayim Yes Arts. And Rashi says over there, Breishis is Beis Reishis, for two fundamental foundations. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world for Torah and Yisrael. It doesn't mean that the nations of the world don't have a purpose and they don't have a mission, but the primary purpose of the creation was that there should be a revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu desired, as the Maamar will talk about very soon, he desired a dwelling place in the lower worlds, so he created lower worlds, lower in terms of level where he's hidden, in order that there should be a people that will dedicate themselves to revealing him in this world. And that's the Jewish people. That's our mission. Gentiles have their mission. They have to keep the 7 mitzvahs. They have to make a good world, a just world, a world where they get rid of evil, and it should be just, and then everyone can live a good life. Not have to worry about evildoers who try to threaten their lives or their property. Basi Legani Achoisi Kal. I have come to my garden, my beloved, my sister, my bride. The Isa the Midrash Rechavia, and it's written in Midrash Rabbah. Midrash Rabbah, Midrash, everyone knows what Midrash is? Midrash is sayings of the sages which illuminate the Torah's intention in certain verses and certain concepts, and Midrash gives us an insight into the inner goings on of the psukim, of what the intention of the psukim are, of what the kavanah of the Torah is trying to bring out. Midrash, Maamar Chazal, verses of the sages of the Jewish people, oral Torah that explains written Torah. In general, there's 4 levels, right? There's Pshat, Pardes, Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod. Pardes means a field, but the acronym of those 4 letters is Pshat. That's the straightforward meaning of Torah, like we find in Rashi. Straightforward explanation. That's what Rashi says. I've only come to give a straightforward explanation. And then Remez, hints, Drush, Drush. When I'm doresh something, I'm learning something out from the pasuk, like the sages will learn out halachas from the way psukim are organized, either because they had a tradition regarding that, or the 13 principles of the way the Torah is expounded, right? That the sages of the Sanhedrin would expound they would expound halachas. They would make piskei din based on the way they understood halachas according to these 13 principles of the way the Torah is expounded and elucidated. And so, which is Kabbalah, secrets of Torah, which Hasidus illuminates all 4 aspects of Torah, including Sod. One time the previous Rebbe, who was for some period of time, was a member of Agudas Yisrael, of a major conference, major group of Orthodox rabbis in Europe. I don't know why he left the organization at some point in time, but when he was in the organization, they were once on a train with a number of other Rabbanim, and one of the Rabbanim asked him, "What's Hasidus? What is it?" So he said, "See that vase up there?" They said, "There's no vase up there. There's a vase there." "See that vase up there?" They said, "Yes." He said, "Did you see it before?" He said, "No." It's Hasidus. It illuminates, right? It could be a gold mine at your feet, but if it's dark, you won't know. But if the light shines, all of a sudden you could see, wow, you could see what's right there in front of you. You didn't see it before because it was dark. Or as Rabbi Yecheskel Sofer gives an example, he says, one time a person couldn't see out the window of his car, couldn't see out the front window. He thought there was a problem with his eyes. There was mud on the windshield. We have to remove the mud. If we remove the mud, we can see clearly. Maamar is also going to talk about that. Okay. The Isa the Midrash Rabbah b'Mekoyma. So the Midrash says on this verse in the Song of Songs, the Midrash of the Song of Songs, Legam en ksiv kan legani. The pasuk doesn't say I've come to the garden. It says I've come to my garden. What does that come to teach us? That it doesn't say I've come to the garden, Ela, instead I've come to my garden. Leganuni, Lamakam Shahaya Ikari Betchila. I've come to my garden, the place where my presence was initially. That's what the Midrash says. I come to where I previously was. And then the Midrash continues. The Ikar Shechina B'Tachtainim Harsa. Because initially the Shechina, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence, was revealed in the lower worlds. Al Yedei Chet Eitz Hadas, and through the sin of the eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, Nistalka Shechina me Eretz L'Rakia. The Shechina left and went from the world from the earth to the first heaven. The Al Yedei Chet Kain the Enosh, and through the Chet of Cain. In English they call him Cain. The Enosh, and Enosh, who was the first one that brought Avodah Zarah to the world. Nistalka Shechina Mirakia Aleph Lebeis, the Gimel. Cain brought the Shechina away from the world even more, another level further away from the first heaven to the second heaven, and Enosh from the second heaven to the third heaven. The Achar Kaf Bedor Amabul Nistalka Mirakia Gimel Udala. And afterwards, in the generation of the flood, the Shechina got even further removed from the third heaven to the fourth heaven. Could the Isa of the Midrash Rechavia al Pasuk, as it's written in Midrash Rechavia, as it's written in the Midrash, on the verse, Vayishma es kol havaya elokim ishalech vegan, that Adam and Chava heard the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu walking or going in Gan Eden. Remember the story after they ate? So they were embarrassed. They were embarrassed because they weren't clothed. Beforehand, they also weren't clothed. But they weren't embarrassed because there was no sin connected to them. There was no attachment of evil connected to them. There was no Yetzer Hara connected to them. So therefore, since there was no Yetzer Hara connected to them, everything about them was good. Everything about them was purposeful. And when one uses the world that HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates, the beautiful world. Shalom, Rabbi Diamond.
Shalom.
Welcome. Good morning. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I have a few copies.
I just want to put in a pitch, Rabbi Diamond. Are you going to be the one giving the Shabbos shiur on 7:30 Sunday nights?
Yes.
It's going to be a Shabbos shiur starting on Sunday nights at 7:30.
The JLI course. We're going to have a presentation, a video that we use for every 6 Sundays.
Oh, they're in English?
In English.
You found them in English.
Found them in English.
Good for you. Online. Good for you. Well, it's a Yeshua's Hashem Beherifying 15 minutes ago. Rabbi Diamond told me he wasn't able to find them in English. And look at that. So we'll wait till everyone has a copy.
You're missing out. Some of the copies only have page 2 onwards, but we'll get the other one later.
Oh, hello. I would appreciate if you send me the link to that.
It'll be in the I sent the link to the video. It'll also be in the description.
Oh, the link?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. All right, so you don't have to. Mordechai's going to put it in the link to the video. Okay, so let's continue. It says that Adam and Chava, they heard Hashem's voice, Mishalech Began, proceeding through or walking through Gan Eden. Amar Rav Abba, so Rav Abba says, Nahalech ain't ksiv. It doesn't say walking. Ela mishalech. It changes the tense of the verb. Mishalech kofitz va'azil, like skipping. They heard Hashem's voice skipping through the Gan. Meaning that hi, Shalom, Yaakov Meir. Meaning that the ascent of the Shekhinah, of Hashem's presence from the world back toward the heavens and away from the world wasn't in one shot. It happened gradually over generations. Each generation caused the removal of God's presence a little bit more, a little less light, a little more darkness. They brought a little more darkness into the world. And afterwards, just like the 7 generations caused the Hashem's presence to withdraw from the world, there came 7 generations of tzaddikim. V'achar kach amdu shiva tzaddikim v'horidu et hashchina lamata, and they brought the Shechina back down into the world. Avraham zata v'hoirid et hashchina mirakia zayin lava. Abraham merited to draw the Shechina back down from the 7th heaven to the 6th heaven. The Yitzchak mevav lahei, and Yitzchak from the 6th to the 5th. And further and further, ad ki Moshe Rabbeinu shu hashvi, until Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the 7th generation, the kol hashvim chavivin, and every 7th is beloved. That's also brought in the Midrash. Horidu lamata ba'aretz. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to bring the Shechina back down to the earth. When did that happen? When did Moshe Rabbeinu succeed in bringing the Shechina back down to the earth? Who knows? Matan Torah. The Kodesh Baruch Hu was revealed in the world. And then we know the history. 40 days later, the Chet HaEgel. There's been ups and downs. It's not as revealed to us right now as it was revealed to the Jews in Matan Torah. At Matan Torah, they all cried out, Nasa v'nishma. It says even by the splitting of the sea, that a maidservant had a revelation of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, a greater revelation than the Navi Yechezkel, who saw the Maaseh Merkava. Yechezkel saw how it was working up above. We read that after Torah. The divine chariot, the throne. What is it called? The Kisei HaKavod. The throne, the divine throne. This was all a preparation for Matan Torah, right? That Hashem should be revealed in the world, and then through sin covers up Hashem's revelation. Yeah. So, any questions so far? Feel free, if you don't understand something, to ask questions. Okay. So if not, so we'll just continue. It's clear. It's pretty straightforward what the Rebbe is saying. The Iker Gului Elokus Hayav Beis Hamikdash, and the Iker Gilui Elokus was in the Holy Temple. Diksiv Asuli Mikdash v'Shachanti b'Soicham. B'Soichoi lo nevar ela b'Soicham b'toch kol echad ve'echad miYisrael. And the Rebbe says, as it says in the Pasuk, make me a Mikdash, make me a temple. V'Shachanti b'Socham, and I will dwell in you. And the Chazal say, it doesn't say I will dwell in it. We know HaKadosh Baruch Hu dwelled in the Beis HaMikdash. People would come from near and far to have an experience of that revelation of the Beis HaMikdash. Not just because it was a mitzvah, but also because it was an inspiring, uplifting event. Imagine going to the Beis HaMikdash and actually seeing miracles in front of your eyes and understanding that these miracles are a revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But it doesn't say that the Iker revelation was in the Beis HaMikdash, Ela, in each and every one of Yisrael. Make me a Mikdash is also a personal request, a mitzvah, an obligation that a Kodesh Baruch Hu makes of every Jew. Make me a Mikdash and I will dwell in you, in each and every Jew. And the Friedrich Rebbe is going to explain how we make that Mikdash. V'zeu, and that is what it means. Another pasuk he brings, tzadikim yirshu aretz v'yishkenu la'ad aleh, that the tzadikim will inherit the world, v'yishkenu la'ad aleh, and normally it's translated that, and they will dwell forever upon it. But the previous Rabbi explains that tzadikim yirshu aretz shu gan Eden, they will inherit gan Eden. Why? Lefi shehem mashkinim. They're mamshichim b'chinas shoichin ad maram v'kadosh sheh begilui lamata. So he explains the pasuk in a very interesting way. He says, tzadikim, you have to know Hebrew to get this, though. It's, it's hard. If you don't know Hebrew, and labriut, if you don't know Hebrew, and, there's like ways of taking the pasuk and, taking a comma and putting it, instead of putting it here, putting it there, or explaining a word that, like the Midrash said, it changed the word a little bit, right? It says gani, it means ganuni. He didn't say gan, he said gani, and the Midrash has a whole teaching about that. So too, the previous Rebbe gives a teaching. Tzadikim yirshu aretz. The tzadikim will inherit the world of Gan Eden. Why? V'yashkinu la'ad aleh, because they draw down ad aleh. Why is the Kodesh Baruch Hu called ad? Because we say in Tefillah, Sheichin ad. We call to a Kodesh Baruch Hu, Sheichin ad. Mara v'kadosh shemai. Sometimes they say Sheichin ad Maraim v'kadosh shema, right before Yishtabah. So the tzaddikim, through their avodah, through their service of Hashem, they draw down the aspect of Sheichin ad Mara v'kadosh, that a Kodesh Baruch Hu is holy and Maroim, beyond, above, Sheagilu Lamata, that level will be revealed below. Zeu Basi Legani Leganuni Lamakam Shahaya Ikaro Bitchila, the Ikar V'Shchina B'Tachtoinim, and that is the explanation of the pasuk. I have come to my garden, the place where I initially was, because initially the Shechina was here, and like we said, that it was Chataim, sins caused it to disappear, and the Tzaddikim were able to bring it back down. So, Inyan is, V'Inyan Hu, the previous Rabbi continues, Dehine Tachli Sakavanu Abrias, the whole purpose of a Kodesh Baruch Hu in creating and making worlds, the Nisava Kodesh Baruch Hu Liya Yisla Yisbarach Dira B'Tachtoinim, that a Kodesh Baruch Hu desired that he should have a dwelling place for himself down in the lower levels, in the lower realms. That's a Midrash from the Tanchuma, and that is the main. There are other reasons given, but that is the deepest reason. Excuse me. Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the worlds. Because he desires a dwelling place down here. And the Baal Shem Tov took this Midrash and gave it its proper place in his teachings, and all the Hasidic masters from the time of the Baal Shem Tov have emphasized that this is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the worlds, and it's not the Chidush of the Baal Shem Tov, it's a Midrash. It wasn't known that well and emphasized that well. And it's very important that a person, I think every person in the world who is seeking truth wants to know why am I here? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu create this world? What's my purpose, right? Every person wants to know that. That's like a major, major question. that I think everyone who's seeking truth wants the answer to that question. Sure, there's people that aren't seeking truth. There's people that are seeking pleasures. That's what they're all about. But some people have a certain spiritual revelation in themselves and their souls. That part of their souls is able to affect their mind and their hearts, and they say, why? I'd like to know. And this is the reason. It's a very simple yet powerful explanation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants there should be a hidden world. That's our world. And he wants that he should be revealed in that hidden world. Why? So why not just create a world where he's revealed? Well, what kind of hidden world? Well, how would it be a lower world then if he was revealed in it? It's low now, right? Everyone can agree that there's a lot of low aspects to this world. There's a lot of darkness and a lot of evil and a lot of impurity and a lot of distortion of the truth, right? Until even it's filled with, like in the lashon of the Tanya, in the expression of the Tanya, it's mali klipos v'sitra achra. It's filled with impurity. Because the answer is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the efforts of man. That's what he wants. He wants our efforts. Now, some people will emphasize that in that way, by you learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, you're fulfilling your purpose and you will get rewarded. You will have a great reward in Gan Eden. And it's true. But that's already a motivation. That's already a self-interest motivation. Why am I doing it? So I'm going to get something. True. I'm going to get something spiritual. And I'm going to make sacrifices in this world to get those spiritual things. But still, it's a self-motivation. But if one senses, one recognizes that we are called Bani Matem Lashem Elikechem, you are children of the Lord your God. The Jewish people are HaKadosh Baruch Hu's children. And just like a child loves his father, and a child wants to do his father's will, not because his father's going to pay him. Of course his father's going to pay him and reward him. He's his father. His father's going to take care of him. But that's not his purpose. He's not doing it. He's doing it because he loves his father. He's connected to his father. And if his father's the king, right? And his father says, I need you to go out and fight a battle for me. The prince is going to lead the troops. And he's going to give everything, even if it requires giving his life, to bring victory to his father. Our father is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to reveal him in the world. For that purpose, he created the world. He gets nachas, just like we get nachas from our children. Bezrat Hashem, everyone should have nachas from their children. Nachas, Jewish nachas, Hasidic nachas. And anyone who needs to get married and have children should have a bracha getting married and having children and have nachas. But just like anyone who's a parent knows that they love their children and they have nachas from their children, when the children do the right thing. They could be upset with their children if the children don't do the right thing, but they still love their children, still their child. But this world has nachas from us, and he wants us to give him nachas. And we give him nachas by serving him. We give him nachas. Now, some might say, well, that's kind of lowering a Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're lowering a Kodesh Baruch Hu with that feelings. Exactly. What, a Kodesh Baruch Hu? He's only infinite. That he has to be removed? That he has to be beyond creation? Well, how are we going to have a relationship with him? He wants a relationship. He desired that there should be a lower world that he should be revealed in. That's what the Midrash says. His infinity, which we've discussed on numerous occasions, is so infinite that he can be revealed also not just in an infinite manner, but even in a manner that a finite mind can grasp, like a father. A king, oh, a king is removed, right? He's in his palace, distant. Father, close. Father or king. Yeah. Interestingly, the word that the Midrash uses, nisave, is not a word that you can ask a question on. I mean, you could ask a question on it, but it would be the wrong. It wouldn't be a real question. It doesn't say Hakadosh Baruch Hu desire. It doesn't say Hakadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't give a reason why. It just said he had a desire that there should be hidden worlds. And he should be revealed in those hidden worlds. And we should make him. He desired to have a dira, a dwelling place. Let's see the exact lashon of the Nisa'ava HaKadosh Baruch Hu desired. We'll analyze the Midrash, okay? Nisa'ava HaKadosh Baruch Hu desired. In Yiddish, there's an expression, Funataiva nicht frecht akasha. On a desire, can't ask the question. Why do you like vanilla? Why do you like chocolate? I like chocolate. Why do you choose vanilla? Why do you like white, green, blue? I like red, purple, and yellow. It's not something you could explain. That's what I like. It comes from a place so deep that it's beyond seichel. Something that's according to seichel, I could explain. There's a reason. Why did you do this? Why did you set your alarm this morning for 7:30? Well, I had to get up, I had to get to shul, and I had to get to a shiur. And in order for me to do all that, I had to get up at 7:30. Okay, labriut. There's a reason. There's things that's beyond reason. There's no reason. That's what he designed. Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson tells a story about a philosophy teacher that in university the students were studying the course, and then there was the final exam, and he handed out the exam, and he gave them 2 hours, and it had one question: why? You heard this? You're smiling already.
I've had similar type of exams.
Oh, why? So that's writing. So writing. 2 hours there, a lot to write. 2 guys handed in their papers right away, left them. Everyone failed the course except for these 2 people. One got an A and one got an A+. The one that got an A, he wrote one word: because. Why? Because. The one that got an A+ wrote 2 words. Why not? Lamalo. Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted. It's hard for us who are beings, created beings, who our consciousness is a consciousness of intellect, emotion, and doing. It's hard for us to remove ourselves and try to attach to that. Why not? This is what he wanted. Because we're always thinking, why? What's the reason? That's how we function, right? And our sages have given us reasons. They've given us reasons, right? One of the reasons is that because it's only by doing it, then you can see how real, all-powerful he is, that his infiniteness can be expressed not just in the infinite worlds, but also in the finite. Without him actually creating a world, so how would he be able to express that? And Rabbi Sofer gives a mashal. He says one time there was a king, very powerful king, went on a tour of the world with his ministers and his attaché, and he got to Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls, I don't have to explain what Niagara Falls is, right? and he saw the power and the might and the of this water flowing. And he said, I want you to build me a castle right here. Right here, right in the middle, right where the water is falling down this waterfall with tremendous power and energy. The Minister of Housing said, it's impossible, Your Highness. It's impossible. Don't tell me it's impossible. If I'm the king and I want to show my power, this is how I'm going to show my power. I'm going to build a castle right here on Niagara Falls. I'm going to show my power. So that's one of the explanations. This is how we see Hashem's power. Okay, maybe it's how we see Hashem's power. But before we were created, there was some chisaron in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There was some lack in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He needed us to see his power.
If you said he had a ta'ava, yes, there was a...
HaKadosh Baruch Hu lacks nothing. He hasn't changed. Like we say, Atahu Meshanivra Elam, Atahu Tahu Achanivra Elam, Atahu Meshanivra. We say it every day. Davening. Atahu Hashem Elikim Bashamayim Ba'aretz. So before Atahu Ad Sheloi Nivra Elam, you are He. From before the world was created, Atahu Mishanivra Elam, and you are He. Since the world was created, you're the same He. Changed. You're the same He. But you're right. You're also right because until HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals his desire, right? He has a desire, but until he reveals it and creates worlds, so there will be worlds. But there's a level of where of he before he reveals his desire. But that's his desire. Why? Why is that his desire? Not because he's lacking anything. That's his desire.
Desire is a lack of something. If I desire Coca-Cola, I like Coca-Cola. I'm lacking Coca-Cola.
Yeah, but
if I want to marry, it's because I like something.
Right. But let's say you're with the king. And so when you're with the king, right, you're not focusing on your own thoughts and feelings. You're just focusing on the king. But let's say you're with the king, right? And you're focusing on how wonderful and great it is to be with the king. You're expressing your desire within yourself, even though right now you're with the king. But before that, you weren't expressing that desire within yourself. You weren't focusing on how wonderful it is for you to be with the king. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who did he consult with before he created the worlds? Who did he consulted with? The neshamas of the tzaddikim. He consulted with us. Not as we exist down here, but actually exist in him. We're a part of him. It says the neshama is a chelek elokam mimal mamash. The neshama is a veritable part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He took a part of himself, removed in quotation marks, because it's not a real removal, it's an illusion. He put that part of himself and covered over his revelation from that part of himself. And he says to that part of himself, which is us, I'm here. Come redeem me. Reveal me. I'm giving you Torah. I'm giving you Hasidus. I'm giving you Maamar. I gave you a neshama. I gave you a mind. I gave you a heart. Use it, and you'll see. You'll be able to see me. You'll be able to come close to me. True, the body is always going to be hiding to some point in time. Like even Moshe Rabbeinu, who was a tremendous, great tzaddik. Moshe Rabbeinu was, let me see your greatness. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu say to Moshe Rabbeinu? No man can see me and live in a body. No man can see me and live when he's in a body, because the body hides. But when he saw him from the back, right? But from the back is a type of a hiddenness, right? But even when the neshama goes up above after 120 years in Gan Eden, it's not the ultimate revelation. The ultimate revelation is going to be down here in this world, in the Tchias HaMesim, when there's going to be a revelation of a Kadosh Baruch Hu as he is, and there's going to be created beings in a physical body. And if you're going to ask, how can that be? How can there be a created being? It'll all be unity. Then we'll know. Now we don't know. Now we don't know, but it'll all be unity and one. And yet we will say, wow, Kodesh Baruch Hu, I'm part of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, but we'll be the ones saying, I'm part of a Kodesh Baruch Hu.
It's an egg of tomorrow.
What?
It's an egg of tomorrow.
It's an egg of tomorrow. An egg will hatch. The egg will hatch. In the previous class,
And see it from the back means only retrospectively.
right now, that's what Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see. But in the previous class, before the Yom Tovim, so we talked about the halacha that the Rambam brought about two partners. You were here. You were here about the partners with the chickens, with the eggs. That one partner had eggs, but he didn't have chickens to hatch the eggs, and another partner had chickens. So the guy with the eggs gives the eggs to the guy with the chickens, and the guy with the chickens puts his chickens on the eggs, and they hatch. And then they split the little hatchlings, the chicks. So the Rambam says that the one who gives the eggs to the chicken owner, he has to pay for the food for the chickens. And the Rebbe takes that and says, this is the relation, this is the partnership that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There are eggs in the world waiting to hatch. There's holiness hidden in the world, waiting to be revealed. It's our mission and our obligation to hatch those eggs. We're the chickens. We have to take the world and use them and reveal the godliness in the world. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, since he's our partner, he has to pay us. He has to make sure we have a good parnasa and good health and koichos, because, you know, a guy that can't make ends meet, he doesn't have time to serve Hashem with menuchas hanefesh, with calmness. Or someone who's got problems and he's got to run to the doctors all the time. Lo aleinu, lo abaneinu, lo tzatzeinu, right? He doesn't have the menuchas hanefesh to be able to serve Hashem properly. So we want the Eibishter to provide us with gesund and parnasa, that we should have the ability to and the strength that we need to serve him properly, and that's his obligation.
So if we don't get it, we don't pray it.
It's harder. It's harder. You know, one time the Maggid had a son with Avram the Malach. Yesterday was the yortzeit of the Helik Ruzhin, the Rebbe Yisrael Ruzhin, the yortzeit. And he was the grandson of Avram the Malach. Avram the angel was a very holy, spiritual person. And when he was a young boy, he one time came in crying to his father. His father was learning Torah. His father said, "Why are you crying this time?" So he told him what happened. They were playing hide and seek. It's obviously a very old game. And the person that was supposed to seek them played a trick on them. He went home. They were all hiding, waiting to be caught. No one's coming to search for them, to find them. And the Maggid of Mezrich also began to cry. And he said to his son, he said, "I'm crying for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's done the same thing. He's hidden himself in the world." And he gave Bnei Yisrael Torah and mitzvahs. He says, "Come, seek me, reveal me." But too many people are busy with nourishkeit, nonsense, wasting their time and energies on things under the sun, things that may matter or may not matter. if someone's wasting his time on things that matter, you can't say he's wasting his time. If he has to make a living, if whatever good things he's involved in, even if things of this world, he's not wasting his time. But there's a lot of time that's wasted, and that we have to correct. We have to correct that. We have to. Talking to myself, if anyone applies to anyone else, so you can hear from it. But we have to make sure not to waste our time. Time is life. One time the Tzemach Tzedek was giving a shiur, he was talking. And there was a guy that came. He wanted to see what's Lubavitch. And he came to hear this Tzemach Tzedek deliver his lecture. And the Tzemach Tzedek was talking about all kinds of sins. And these were the sins that this particular guy had committed. And he was so embarrassed. And afterwards he went over to the Tzemach Tzedek and he said, Rebbe, I'm so embarrassed. He said, here I am, a guest. The first time I came and you're talking about all my sins. Tzemach Tzedek smiled. And he said, I wasn't talking about you in particular. He said, I'm like a hat maker. He said, I make hats. Sometimes the hat fits the head. Sometimes it doesn't fit the head. If it fits, it was meant for you.
So, it says, usually one should not write the history. One should speak.
Right, true.
Body is getting the head which belongs to him. And there is different heads. So if you read all the heads, you don't get what is your head.
He also says over there that it would be when you're with the teacher, because it comes through in a personal session that doesn't come through in the. He said the time is, I can't see everybody like I was able to in the past. Too many people, too much people putting it to right.
I went to the shloshim of his wife.
Whose wife?
The previous.
Shlo?
His wife.
Previous Rebbe's? The Rebbe.
Up to now, that piece is in my life. This is a clear demonstration of what the Tanya said. If you read it, you don't know what belongs to you. If you hear what's the message for you.
You want to share the piece?
Yes, no problem. He was speaking about tzitzis. Up to that time, I didn't wear tzitzis. And he said, when you wear tzitzis, in a way or in another, it's like you were wearing all the mitzvahs. So I said, I never, maybe one of the days I missed it.
Kol kavod. L'chaim.
Just because of the speech at his wife's situation.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that personal story. So there's other reasons also given, right? Like teva hatoiv lehetiv. Perhaps some of you have heard that expression. It is the nature of the good to do good. Teva hatoiv, it is the nature of he who is good, lehetiv, to do good. So since HaKadosh Baruch Hu is good, he does good. He creates the world. He does chesed. He gives us tasty foods and not just dirt to eat. Yes, sir.
On Rosh Chodesh, we read, Useir
Huh?
Ziv,
Yeah.
Chatat Lashem.
Yes.
He's Chatat.
It's a chatat for him.
He's Chatat.
What's his chatat?
This is the meaning of Sinzin Chatat Lashem.
It's interesting, but what's his chatoin?
Our sufferances.
Ah. You hear what he said? Go ahead, say it again.
Seli Nizin Chatat Lashem. You say Erev Rosh Chodesh.
He's saying that a goat to bring, we usually say as a sin offering, he's saying, he heard from, who did you hear that from?
I think it's Rashi.
Nah, it's not Rashi.
Rabbi Sprecher.
I don't know. You just said something out of
Rabbi
name?
Sprecher.
Rabbi Sprecher. Some rabbi said that it's Hashem's sin. We're bringing a goat for Hashem's sin. Wow. What's Hashem's sin? So he said Hashem's sin is the suffering of the Bnei Yisrael. It's Hashem. Now, I didn't say it. He didn't say it. Some Rav said it. So, but tell you a story of the Munkacher. You heard of the Munkacher? Munkach?
There is a building here in Jerusalem.
Right. Munkach is a Chassidut. And the Munkacher Rebbe, so I don't know which one, but he had a child that was ill, passed away at a very young age. And then the Rebbe raised the grandson in his own home. And he had a wonderful relationship with his grandson. He loved his grandson, and his grandson loved his Zaidi. And the little grandson, when Elul would come, and it was the minhag on Elul to blow the shofar every day, the grandson made sure to be there to listen to the shofar that his grandfather, the Rebbe, would blow. It was so exciting for him. And came Erev Rosh Hashanah. Erev Rosh Hashanah, you don't blow the shofar. You don't blow the shofar on Erev Rosh Hashanah to fool the Satan. Lebabel et Satan. That he thinks it's, they didn't blow the shofar because it already was Rosh Hashanah, and it'll take away from his prosecution against us. Forever, that's a whole discussion in itself. Well, he doesn't remember from last year. Whatever, that's a whole discussion in itself. I'm not prepared to discuss that. But the little boy said, Zaidi, blow the shofar. I said, no, my maniacal. Today we don't blow the shofar. It's Erev Rosh Hashanah, we don't blow the shofar. No, but Zaidi, you've been blowing the shofar. Please, Zaidi, for me, blow the shofar. We don't blow the shofar today. And the grandchild cried. He began to cry. And the grandfather had Rahmanis on his grandson. He said, okay, I'll blow it for you. I'll blow the shofar. He gave a little boo for his grandson. Came Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. And when the Aron Kodesh was open wide, he went up in the middle of the tefillah, and he said, Tati b'shamayim. Exactly what he said, I don't know. Exactly how he addressed the Kodesh Baruch, I don't remember. Here we are. We're your children. Have Rahmanas on us, just like I had Rahmanas on my grandson, where he was crying out to hear me blow the shofar. Have Rahmanas on us. We're your children. We want you to hear us. We want you to good for us. So there is to say about what Rav Yaakov Meir said, although it's not part of the Maamar, but they once asked the the Kloisenberger Rebbe, who was a Holocaust survivor. Yeah, he was a Holocaust survivor. He lost his whole family, had a wife, many children.
With the yeshiva in Ashkelon.
Somewhere in Israel. Netanya, right. They asked him, don't you have questions? Don't you have questions of a Kodesh Baruch Hu? He said, of course I have questions. He said, and I know that if I asked the Kodesh Baruch Hu the questions, he would give me answers. He said, but I'd rather be down here in this world with questions than up in Shamayim with answers. I'd rather be alive. One time a woman came to Manis Friedman. Heard of Manis Friedman from Minnesota? He says that, huh?
He was here, gave a speech.
Really, when?
And it was every day on YouTube.
Documents
Before the holiday.
Yeah.
She gives speeches every day on YouTube.
just before Rosh Hashanah.
Oh yeah, he was here, right? That's right. That's right. Yeah. So he, on one of his tapes, he says that there was a woman in his community who was kind of like, she came, but she had an attitude, you know. She was like, she had an attitude. It bothered her, as it should, what happened to the Jewish people in Europe during World War II, during the Holocaust. And she didn't want to serve Hashem. And even though Rabbi Manis Friedman would give Torah lectures, it didn't help her. That was her. So she had a brother who was a very sweet person, had a heart problem though. And the brother passed away at a young age, in his 50s. And she was very distraught. She had a close relationship with her brother. And she was mourning. And she said to Manis Friedman, why did he die? Why? This is what she had asked. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu allow that there should be a Holocaust? Why did he die? Why did my brother die? So Manis Friedman, who's, you know, he's sharp. He's like, he said to her, he had a heart problem. She said, yeah, but he was such a good person. He did so much kindness. He was so loving. He had such a good heart. Why was he taken so young? I said, I don't understand. The doctor said he had a heart problem. That's why he died. She said, yeah, but I want to know why. So he said, if you're asking a question, you want to understand, according to Judaism, why. So you have to be open to Judaism's answers. That was the answer. That's the end of the story. And I don't have any answers, okay? Don't think like I have any answers. I mean, when Rabbi Gershon, you sent me his video. I forget his last name again. The one who lost his wife at a very young age and wrote the book, Why, God, Why? Right? He doesn't have answers. Who has answers? And the Rebbe, he quotes the Rebbe in there. He said, obviously, the Torah teaches us everything. The Torah doesn't want us to know. And the Rebbe continues, because if we would know, then perhaps we would become complacent and we wouldn't do something to alleviate suffering. Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to alleviate suffering. If a person would say, oh, Kodesh Baruch Hu has his reasons and he's doing it, it's the right thing, you know, go back to his business, go back to his daily life as opposed to helping someone who he could help, that would be cold and heartless. And Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't want us to be cold and heartless.
But
okay, but you know, when Job, we also discussed this in previous classes. He didn't curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He was inflicted from above. He was inflicted from above with terrible, terrible sufferings. 70 years of sufferings. 70 years? Anyone remember? I don't know if it was 70 years. Scratch that. He was, all his children passed away. He lost all his money. He was inflicted with terrible ailments, health ailments. And his friends came and said, it must have been because you did some Aveira and you're being punished. He said, no, I didn't do any Aveira. His wife said, curse Hashem and die. He said, no, I will not curse Hashem. And in the end of the book, Hashem comes to him in a whirlwind and gives him
it's not an answer.
He gives him, it's not an answer. He gives him an answer which isn't an answer. What's his answer that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Eov that's not an answer?
Who
says,
created the world?
He says, where were you? Where were you when I set the foundations of the world? Where were you? You're puny man. You think to be able to understand, you think to be able to know me? Where were you? Hashem didn't say it like that. Hashem said it he didn't say puny man. But Hashem said, where were you when I created the world? How can you expect to know? The gap between finite and infinite is infinite. It's an infinite gap. I mean, the gap between a bug and a human being is a big, big gap, right? But it's not infinite. It's not.
It's not.
It's not an infinite gap. Both a human being and a cockroach are part of creation, but the gap between the creator and the created being is an infinite gap. It's only that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals to us that we're able to understand. Obviously, there's going to be things we're not going to be able to understand.
But he also said that it's not the reason. What your friend said, it is not the reason.
That's correct. That's correct. And they got punished.
But we say, "Mipnei chataenu."
That's correct, because we have chataim.
Yes, but "Mipnei chataenu" is what the friend said.
Right, but he didn't have chataim. He was a tzaddik.
Yeah.
We have chataim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up a system.
God said it's not because of your chataim.
To Eeyov, he said that.
Well, he said to us. Because
There's a system. There is a system that HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up called reward and punishment. It's one of the 13 principles of faith that the Rambam lists. One who does good in this world gets rewarded by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It could be in this world too. But if you see a person that does good, a tzaddik, and he suffers, so you know that if that is the true principle, that there is a reward for good, obviously that tzaddik's reward was not in this world. It's going to be in the future world. There is a system that HaKadosh Baruch Hu set out, that when we do a mitzvah, it creates an energy above, a positive energy above that draws down positivity to this world, to all the worlds, including this world. And if we do an avera chas v'shalom, it creates a negative energy above, and that brings down the opposite of blessings to all the worlds and to this world too. So we always daven for Hashem's compassion. And we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. He initially wanted to create the world just through the divine attribute of justice. But then he saw that the world, man, wouldn't be able to handle such a world. So he ushitef midas harachamim. He added his attribute of mercy, and he created the world with the attribute of mercy having the higher power, like it says, B'yom Hashem Elokim, B'yom Hibaram Hashem Elokim. We have a So Kodesh Baruch Hu attached his attribute of mercy when he created the world in order that we would be able to survive. But there's also justice. Okay, so Bezrat Hashem, we will continue our shiur next week. We learned a little bit.